Zastrzeżenie. Informacje i materiały edukacyjne zawarte w niniejszym dokumencie mają na celu promowanie ogólnego zrozumienia i dialogu na temat przetwarzania informacji przez GANS. Nie są one przeznaczone ani nie powinny być traktowane jako substytut klinicznego szkolenia, doświadczenia lub osądu profesjonalisty w dziedzinie opieki zdrowotnej. Dla pacjentów i osób indywidualnych informacje te nie zastępują profesjonalnej porady medycznej, terapeutycznej ani opieki zdrowotnej. Nie mogą one być podstawą do podejmowania decyzji dotyczących leków ani innych metod leczenia. Czytelnicy, widzowie i słuchacze powinni zawsze skonsultować się ze swoim lekarzem, a w poważnych przypadkach natychmiast szukać pomocy u służb ratunkowych. Informacje dotyczące recept, procedur oraz stosowania urządzeń medycznych powinny być wykorzystywane wyłącznie przez odpowiednio przeszkolony i certyfikowany personel medyczny. Zastrzegamy sobie wszelkie gwarancje, zarówno wyraźne, jak i domniemane, w tym domniemanie gwarancje przydatności handlowej lub przydatności do określonego celu. Informacje są udostępniane tak, jak są i uważa się je za dokładne w momencie publikacji. Jednak to odbiorca jest odpowiedzialny za ocenę ich prawdziwości. Każdy przedstawiony przypadek dotyczy wyłącznie osoby, która go doświadczyła i nie ma zastosowania do innych osób. Każda osoba mająca problemy zdrowotne powinna zasięgnąć profesjonalnej porady medycznej i skonsultować swoje leczenie z lekarzem. Opisane tutaj procesy balansowania plazmy są naturalnym procesem wspierającym organizm, ale nie zastępują porady lekarskiej ani terapii, którym dana osoba już podlega. Zastrzeżenie. To jest moje prywatne zastrzeżenie, w którym chcę ująć parę wątków. Nie jestem przedstawicielem Fundacji Kesze, a jedynie poszukiwaczem wiedzy, tak jak każdy z nas. W żaden sposób, prowadząc ten program, nie jestem związany z Fundacją Kesze, nie występuję w jej imieniu. Jestem po prostu gospodarzem samego spotkania, z zamiłowania i chęci podzielenia się tak wielką wiedzą i jej pięknem, które każdy z nas posiada na tak wiele różnych sposobów. Wszelkie tłumaczenia są naszą interpretacją tego, co rozumiemy z wątków tłumaczonych. I jakakolwiek moja prywatna działalność jest jedynie moją osobistą formą zrozumienia wiedzy dzielonej przez Fundację Kesze i nie ma, jak i nie powinna mieć żadnego wpływu na interpretację Twoją lub działalność samej fundacji. Jeżeli wypowiadam się w tych nagraniach, są to wypowiedzi oparte o moje zrozumienie, osobiste doświadczenie, co nie znaczy, że MT Kesze miał to samo na myśli podczas nauczania. Dziękuję Wam za Waszą interpretację i zachęcam Was do wypowiedzenia jej na tak wiele różnych sposobów podczas tego spotkania.
That you, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to the series of knowledge from Keshe Foundation Special Institute, the emotion of time. I know last week we got a lot of you thinking, especially about the emotion of greed. The week before, on a Friday, we tested it on the knowledge seekers who joined, but in a different way, in a different structure, letting them to understand what it is and what it can be. Greed cannot be financial. Greed can be in anything: possession, property, another human being, collection of items, and everything else. But how does the emotional physicality of the man connects with the emotion of the soul of the man. Time has no emotion, but when you put the time and emotion together, you create creation. Because it needs time to show, it needs time to confirm its existence, it needs time for it to show the manifestation of the effect or existence. One of the most probable ways that one can understand emotion has a parallel line or has a connection between the emotion of the soul of the man, the emotion of the soul of physicality, and the physicality of the man. We cry, we feel depressed, we react to, and then we change the position, and the place. But when we move, that point, the time comes into operation. But how does the emotion of the soul of the man connect to the emotion of the physicality of the man? And then, if you understand the connection, how the soul of the man's emotion and the soul of physicality of the man emotion, or the physicality of man emotion, connect to each other, what can you do? In a way, when all three, as the emotion of themselves, have common denominator force, magnetic field emotion, that what you feel physicality, you feel it in the soul of physicality, and then you feel it in the soul, then what's the effect of this? What can be done with such a position? In today's time, when the physicality faces rough time between the father and the son, through the emotion of the soul of the physicality and the physicality of the man gets himself cancer. But what happens to the emotion between the soul of the man and the soul of physicality of the man? When they are not in balance, when they're in conflict with each other, when they're out of tune with each other. And what happens when they're in tune with each other? Would that be the point of elevation, comprehension? Would that be the time when man gets enlightened? When in the dimension of physicality, he received the information from the universal dimension. And then what emotion does that bring to the man? The time starts when that emotion starts affecting the behavior, the place, the time and the position of the man. Same to be with the emotion and with the enlightenment of the man. Somewhere there is a connection between the magnetic field, the strength of the emotion of the soul of the man, and the emotion of the physicality of the man and the soul of physicality of the man. When all three in magnetic field strength become one or interact with each other in a level of understanding and cooperation and collaboration, this is where the enlightenment comes in. And this is where the soul of the physicality of the man connects with the soul of the man as an entity. And then what we see, it could be pain, it could be joy, it could be a movement. Then the person gets a cancer through the emotion, can travel the span of the city or a village, or it decides to stay with emotion and control, which happens in the dimension of physicality. The soul of a man's emotion cannot be controlled. He has his own field connection. But man, in the dimension of physicality, can control the emotion and with it decide the elevation of the soul of the man. When emotionally you're under stress, emotionally you're not happy, emotionally you don't feel you belong to, you do all sorts of things wrong, which does not balance with the field energy of the soul of the man. And then we see the physicality living a zombie life, just being there, where 99.999% of the people on this planet at this moment live in that zombie time. Everything else is more important than the existence of understanding the process of the creation, which allows them to have access to everything, and they decide not to. They choose to be physically involved than actually allowing the souls, the dimension, the magnetic field of what created them to decide the next step. But how does the magnetic field of the emotion of the man in the dimension of physicality connects with the soul of the man? And in turn, how does that connect to the soul of the universe? This is and will be one of the nightmares of the future science and technology of the man. The dream, the reality, the time, the place, which never works the way man knows as a mean known. But the most important thing for the knowledge seekers to understand is how does the emotion of the soul of the man connects with the emotion of the physicality of the man? How does our physical life emotion, the way we cry and the rest, has a connection, interconnected with what is in the books and things been done hundreds of years before? Emotion of existence is the outcome of the man's desire to exist, to be there. And subconsciously, the whole physical structure of man works in that direction. But what is the common between how does the soul of physicality and the soul of the man connect, where one is on the basis of the matter state and one is the dimension of the universal energy? The only solution for man left to understand it is to understand the reason for the existence of what we call the plasma, the fundamental element of plasma, being able to be available in the hand of every man. If we can measure, if we can connect, if man understands the two, he will know the answer. And he can tell you by feeling. Is this the emotion of the man, emotion of the soul of the man, existence of the man? But what is the common denominator? Because that emotion creates time, and time cannot be stopped. In a way, has a progressive development of its own. Many scientists up to now have been trying to understand this, have been trying to comprehend how things around the universe works, but they have never understood the emotion, the time, the place, the position, the possession, the enlightenment, and the intellect. In the coming time, when man takes itself to travel the span of the universe, very few, very, very few, will travel in the dimension of physicality with aircraft and everything else, UFOs and the rest. Many of you will travel through the dimension of energy. But how can we monitor where the soul is within the body, the soul has left the body, or the soul is not happy the way the body is? Then man understands how far behind he's left with the technology, with the knowledge of creation. That needs to be understood, and we do not have time. Understanding the connection between the emotion of the soul of the man and the emotion of the soul of the creator is another cornerstone of the work of the universe. And again, it has a common denominator amongst all the fields of the universe. Where the soul of the man's emotion and where the soul of the man's physical emotion click, where do they connect? What's the common denominator in between them? It has to be below fundamental plasma field strength. It has to be connected to fundamental plasma field strength. And in that process, sometimes it brings more gases with itself than actually needed. And that is the time when we see the elevation of the soul and a new life, a new way to exist, and a new way to connect to the creator of the universal community. Condition of existence of the man in space will come from understanding the field strength, control of, and participating in one ocean. Once man understands this, then he'll understand one point, that man has always been connected from the time of inception until today with the magnetic field strength of the creator. And that is why man is emotional, and that emotion brings the what they call 99 attributes of the creator. How the fields interact, in what condition, and what strength. One is giving, one is taking. And once man understands how to manipulate this energy, man will succeed to travel this part of the universe without any fear. Not worrying, I've got a box, cat box, and I cannot get on a taxi or a bus. One of the fundamental points about the creation is the time, and what's the backbone of it is cosmic rays. For the fields come together to start their life is not easy, but many of the women as a mother is already trained to be able to accept the new life, a new soul, and share that soul in common denominator with the Creator. What we are doing with you today, we are feeding you massive amount of energy, deliberately and consciously, and we are feeding you in a way that will bring change to every soul on this planet. Then we understand that the soul of the man two direct dimensions connected to the soul of what we call the essence of the creation. One day, mankind will understand that the connection between his soul, the emotion of his soul, and dimension of the soul of the man's, what we call ego, possession, greed, all will come from the same source. We are not there to develop. We are there to enjoy the purpose and the use of the power of what we call the energies hidden within the soul of the man. In the coming time, we have to see how a knowledge seekers will interact, what fingerprints you will leave behind, and to what extent this will affect the dimension of the life of the man in his space, control of emotion. And once the man himself to this dimension of understanding, all other men of the same will be enlightened. You are amazing in understanding it, but the common denominator between the all, the common denominator, but the information, the knowledge, the understanding becomes part of the process of the man's life. Man cannot move. The emotion, the understanding of the field, the strength of the soul of the man, the emotion and understanding the field, the strength of the soul of the physicality of the man will give man a clue. At this moment of time, we are saturating with what we call energies, which is much more than you most probably need. And in one way or another, most probably will try to achieve. But again, goes back to what is the connection of the Creator with the manner of the shopping. Would we one day be able to replicate the emotion of the Creator, that with it we achieve the position and enlightenment of the Creator? If, for example, we are on the 20th or 50th layer with what we have, what we achieve as a material to ignite the engine, what happens if you use and deliver the same, but without permission? How we connect the energy of the soul of the Creator with the soul of the man is what the man will come to understand needs to be able to transmute between the center of the universe with the essence of creation and any position in creation. On planet Earth, we have found flight to go higher, to be able to go faster, and the rest of it. In the dimension of the creation, the fastest time is time of the emotion of the Creator, from the time when it reaches us or has reached or will reach somebody else. There is a common denominator, motion, between all created things. And if time allows us, we can look at this. We receive this from other knowledge seekers. We receive knowledge through the love of the Creator. Understanding of the soul of the emotion of the Creator. And then understanding the soul and emotion of the man. And if man doesn't become greedy, as is today, then one will see a totally different image of the person in position and opposition. We understand that when the times connect, a new cycle starts. The same shall be when the souls meet and survive. And it's the responsibility of a man to make sure what mankind has gone through in the past with suffering cannot be repeated. Creation of time, creation of emotion brings man to the point of maturity. For man to understand how and the way he can move in the dimension of creation. In the session today, we are trying to achieve this. We're trying to give enough energy to the man that man loses his essence of emotion of greed, essence of emotion of wanting, need. And in a way, if we succeed, we should see an amazing structure of the soul of the man, collective knowledge seeker's soul in today's session, where we try to satisfy, we try to make it available and see what you take and then watch what you give and see if man has become detached or if man sticks to the greed of holding onto, to be the possessor, to be as part of. And then this point, it comes when there's a conflict between the emotion of the soul of the Creator and the soul of the man, where in essence of creation, there is no greed. And this is where you'll find not conflict, but realization, enlightenment, in detachment that becomes as part of the structure of the work of the creation. When I have all, what am I looking for? When I have all, do I need to hold on? As I tapped into universal energy, and I can give it because the more I give, the more comes my way. Not the greed of coming, pleasure of being here to give more. And this is the, in a sense, part of what we'll do with you in space. From the time you go into the cycle of transportation, even physical transportation through UFOs or whatever you want to call it, the time in that microsecond, we try to satisfy every need of man's emotion. That man finds himself that there is no need, has everything he needs, and has become part of the soul of the Creator. Holding on to does not bring pleasure and enlightenment. In a way, to release it brings that enlightenment, the light, the knowledge. If the sun does not radiate its fields, and if those fields do not interact, they'll be passing through the empty space of the vacuum of the universe with no confirmation of the existing. The only time we see the beauty of the sun is when another magnetic field like the earth interacts with it, and that interaction creates a light that is in the dimension of the fields of the matter state. But can you imagine the field of the soul of the Creator is forever has been and ever will be, and then the soul of the man in the dimension of same field, the strength, touches that field. The way that the lights from the sun to the earth that are still in the dark space of solar system, but when they touch the fields of the earth, they light up. You get the light, you get the daylight, enlightenment. And then imagine if man can create a field which in essence interacts with the field of the Creator as they are forever radiated, how much man will be enlightened. It's very simple. Birds with birds, lions with lions. To enjoy and to be with the lion, you have to have the essence of the emotion of the lion. And that lion is the king. And that lion is the Creator. And how can the field, emotion of the detachment of the Creator by giving become or interact with your soul, and then lights up? Then it has to be of the same, otherwise it does not. The magnetic gravitational field of the sun and earth is more or less the same because it came from the same creation. It came from it. Now you understand why the greed is the cause of the man. The field emotion of the greed is the cause of the man not to interact with the fields of the Creator, to be enlightened. The biggest stumbling block, the biggest factor in the elevation, enlightenment of the man is the greed of the man. Because when you collect, you have more of, where the Creator has less of. You have to unload. You have to unload the field strength of, not the money in the pocket and giving it away as a charity, but giving with the soul to enlighten. And then you reach the position of the Creator. Go back to the very first teachings, and forever I keep on telling you, teach. The more you teach, the more you understand the essence of the emotion of the Creator, detachment. When you hold on to, is the greed that comes for every aspect of the life of the man, be it in the dimension of the soul, be it in the dimension of everything else. Then you have to understand how humble man has to become, how much man has to walk away in the emotion of the fields from the greed of holding on to, that he creates the field strength that he can interact with the field of the Creator, which has no greed, but giving. And if you understood this, and what we are giving to you at this moment of time in the background, and you understand it, then I wonder how many of you are holding on. And during the process, how much further you're positioning yourself to be of the strength that you can interact with the light of the knowledge, the enlightenment that enlightens you. Now you understand why we tested the greed. Now you understand why the cornerstone of the man's fall is the greed of the man. The emotion it creates is not at the field the strength of the Creator. In a way, is the opposite to, is the black hole of the life of the man. The more you collect, you become that center point, that black hole that it has nothing to give. Where in fact, the light of the creation is within it to give. And then you understand, the heavier you get, the further down you fall. I made man in the image of myself, but I didn't make man in the emotion of myself, as I have no emotion of greed. And then you understand how much man needs to understand, has to understand, to be part of the emotion of existence of the Creator. Then you understand how much more you, as knowledge seekers, have to understand about your own emotion and try to find out what is the emotion of the Creator, which I have been created from, but I have walked away from. One day in these teachings, I teach you how, in one instance, switch and reach the field strength that enlightens you with the light of the Creator. Detachment from every aspect. And this is the way I have been teaching. Detachment and everything from everything. And that's why when I teach you, it stays there. It touches your soul and it changes the course of humanity and the universal condition. Because there is no attachment. Then you understand the totality of work of the universe. How emotion is the cornerstones of the man's, what I call pitfall, to reach to the essence of the Creator in the dimension of emotion, not in the dimension of physicality. If you feel the emotion of the Creator, you have already met the Creator. You become part of the creation, and you become part of the fields of it to radiate to the others. If you understood the teaching of today in past half an hour, you have found the key to everlasting life. And if not, as I always say, this is another voice in the wind of the planet there, where the soul understands, but the physicality cannot comprehend. We go for a small break. Come back. We will try to answer you with the questions that might touch you, bring your soul to understand and be touched with. Then you understand the how today. Why we have tested you with greed. And let's see how much more you have to be greedy for. Break. Take us for a break and we come back.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kish. All right. This is the 608th Knowledge Seekers Workshop. Okay, we are back again at the 608th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here. And because it's the second half, as promised, we'll have an opportunity to ask questions of Mr. Kesh. But before we begin that, he, well, always has something he would like to say beforehand. So please go ahead, Mr. Kesh.
Thank you very much. We start testing of the unit, various couple of them as of this week. And they've been sent to two opposite corners of this planet that we can quantify, we can see the pitfalls, and with it, to hopefully within the next 2 to 3 weeks, start the distribution of the units which many of you have ordered. Please be aware that we need certain requirements when we send you a notice to inform us of the detail. We have to keep the data on who's holding the system, who is operating it, and at what position and where it could be. We don't need to say under the bed where the child plays, but at this address, this is a position or whatever. We try in the first batch to scatter the units right across this planet. That it gives us an advantage of not being able to be controlled by governments as they know what is to come. At the same time, we expect you to keep it confidential when you receive it. The whole process will start in a way in October, November. And then once we run for a few weeks, we move into the second phase of the second batch. Please, once you plug them in, do not unplug them. Once you find a position for them, they are. If you move, you have to let us know who's moving. There are questions raised by many knowledge seekers. Can we pass it on to our children and grandchildren and the rest? Yes. But you have to understand they value it the same as you do. It's not just a box they receive and dispose of it. You got to understand, this is the beginning of the breaking up of the, what we call monopoly of wealth connected to survival. And it takes time. It's not going to be easy, but we still need thousands more to be put in position and to run. So we still need your, what we call generosity, to buy these units and spread it around the world and allow us to bring that position together. You got to understand the whole structure of the coins is connected to a game. It's not the cryptocurrency the way you're used to. And we'll explain to you when it comes. You have to understand this is only applicable to those who play the game of enlightenment, and those are connected to those who are connected to the Keshe Foundation, or people who accept the position of the Keshe Foundation to be able to operate through these systems. You got to understand what we've done and what we do. Instead of setting up server houses huge across the world, and instead of giving or hacking other people's, what you call computers and the rest to have the place to do, we have done the reverse. We'll explain to you exactly how it works and how it will be set. It's not worth stealing because there is so much of it that will meet the greed of every man. But it's no good for man to understand the process of what we call the whole system of greed, but does not want to understand the process of giving. We try to bring everything in order, and many of you will receive your units in the coming weeks. And you have to be aware of one point. Keep it, secure it with your life, because this is the future of our children. It's the future of the planet, where we provide so much that there is no greed, even through it, the greed of power. And we'll see how it comes and how it will be developed. But we still need much, much more to be purchased for us to make it impossible for governments and the hackers to bring it down and set up a structure that it can guarantee soil up knowledge, technology, and everything else. All the Keshe Foundation technologies, all the teachings will be loaded on this server, on these units. That is free for everyone. And there is no limitation into sharing, and there is no limitation in receiving and updated and upgraded by groups which will set up and all the communities which are operating around the Keshe Foundation and worldwide. I hope we'll go down this track without any problems, and I hope in the near future we'll be able to replace the total cryptocurrencies around the world when we bring a new structure of the operation. Which means, if you remember, we gave a few USB sticks with the knowledge to the smallest nations in the world. And when the bigger one understood what it is, they all wanted it. In a way, this is putting the seed that does not matter what finances, how a government operates, to all be interconnected to the dimension of the Keshe Foundation, backed by market corporation, backed by the science and technology, and every coin backed by universal, what we call cosmic ray materials. Gold is no good to you on Mars and the universe, where cosmic ray materials is the essence of your life, where in the vacuum of the universe becomes the line of the survival, that black hole, which brings the whole of energy man needs to live in the dimension of the soul. Then you understand the importance and the way we have created this position. And these systems has to be there. They are the beacons of life, not only for this planet, but connected to every soul which exists, connected to this planet in the universe. When first man found America, it was one ship at a time and then flooded. This will be the same thing when man becomes humble, loses his greed for wealth, as the whole universe is there for him to feed him, and then man become part of the universal community. In a way, if you look at it, we are giving 1,000 coins per person. Each coin valued as €1,000 today. What happens to euro tomorrow will bring a new level of understanding against gold, against micro, what we call universal materials, where the validity of the greed of the man can be met. He still carries that token in his pocket, that little sphere, I'm still owning something, but with it, we end the greed of the man for wealth. And then we'll see the man becoming humble to God. It's the cornerstone of our work. It's the cornerstone of the change of time. And this is the time to bring that change. And if you understand how important this is to all of us, to our children and future generation, it's the obligation, not the pleasure. that we have to bring this in. We need to install 10,000 units to make no nation to be able to control, system not become hackable. At the same time, every man have access to the knowledge, technology, and the wealth, and what are called the food of this planet, be it for the soul of the man, be it for the physicality of the man. So, understand what's going on, and we do our best to bring this in. It's started, we cannot stop it, but the speed of it partially depends on the will of the man, and the completion of it, and the date of the completion of it has already written in the holy books. It is not mine or yours. It's the destiny of the man. Because this time when we feed from the earth though, we feed every soul of the man. Animal, plant, every other creature, from earth to earth. In a way, the earth becomes the center of the creation, but through it, we can feed the universe. Maybe the Creator has moved home. And when you love a woman, her home is your home. We have chosen earth, and earth shall be the new home. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kesh. I have a number of questions in the Q&A. It's probably a good place to start here. I'm reminded the chat is disabled. It's now enabled for everyone if they need to use the chat. Q&A is actually a better place for questions, but in any case, we'll start out with anonymous attendee. Good morning, Mr. Kesh. Is hydrogen isotopes perhaps the right place to look into to understand the common denominator between emotions of the Creator and all created creatures?
Fundamental plasma, yes. You call it hydrogen? Is it the same magnetic field strength in the universe than is on Earth for man? Is it combination of the adventures of the man's greed that you can connect it to hydrogen? All possible. It's how you interpret the emotion of it and what feeds that emotion. That's the question. It's not the hydrogen. It's not the isotope of hydrogen. It's what field is in that matches the field of the universe. In the present world of science, we call it upper quark, down quarks. Every name of K and A to Z you found they're put into this plasma, given it a name. But is the field of strength of the Creator one of these names, field of strength of matter man sees, or does man need to see to give it a name, or is it the man just needs to have the emotion? Or emotion of touching it. And then does hydrogen needs isotope to be at the field of strength of the Creator? In every atom, in every plasma, this is the essence of the Creator. You have to find it. In number of the graphs I have shown in past weeks, there is always a one, and I can pinpoint it where. Does not matter in what state, that point is always there. And that is the ray of the Creator. It touches you, but you're not aware of it. There is not a single graph we shown in past 2 years that you don't see that specific light. And how come it's always there, doesn't move, and it's always consistent? I made man in the image of myself. But man does not know himself. How does he want to recognize me? That's the problem. You don't need isotopes. It's just the ray. Any other question?
Okay, thank you. From Paulo in the Q&A asks, will the science of plasma spreading en masse bring a new calendar? I asked because in the great human transformations in civilizational history, there has been a change in the calendar. Now, combined with this historical fact, there's no longer any doubt about the parameter of time. So the calendar, without this new universal reference of time taught by the Keshe Foundation, will no longer make any sense. Is it possible to have a more intelligent calendar that coincides with the beginning of a season and that also coincides with the same days of the week every year? There is also the fact that the calendar is based on a lie. Since Jesus was not born on December 25th, his birth was brought forward to coincide with the festivals considered pagan, commemorating the birth of Mithras.
Let me explain to you something interesting. Man's work on different calendars in how to suit them and changes it as it suits them. We've seen in the recent past, in the past, my lifetime, if you were Iranians, you understand it very well. We had a calendar which was common to all those who believed in Shia life, in what we call the time of Muhammad. Then the Shah of Iran decided that Islamic calendar, nothing to do with us as a nation. He changed it to the monarchy calendar. Now we went from 1,300 to 2,500. We became monarchy. Then Ayatollahs came and they changed it back into another calendar, which is about the same. So if you're following calendars, you're kind of confused. If you come from that kind of thinking, it's totally lost. Nobody knows where, what, and the rest of it. A few days added, a few days taken away, goes back to that. Sunnis have a different calendar for themselves, and Christians have different one, and Jews have different. If you're familiar with a calendar time, something very interesting is happening within the next few days. Extremely important if you're a Jewish. Even a lot of Jews are not aware of this. They say God created earth over 7 days and 7 nights. Understanding in the literature of the time, 1 day is 1,000 years. According to the Holy Scripts of the Jews, the first 6,000 years will be when the man suffers. And then the last 1,000 years when the man flourishes and the new cycle starts. Remember 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, I told you how the calendar fell on the 13th and the 14th. And then nobody understood. What I explained to you, I explained to the Iranian leaders in a recorded message, which reaches out to the Khamenei and the rest of the people who are in it. In the past few days, And I explained this for you to understand exactly why dates and time calendar matters, because it's the way it's set and the mindset. You decide what time you go shopping, and that energy is set for you to go at 10 o'clock. I get up, I go shopping, even I decided the night before. So when it comes 10 o'clock tomorrow, you go shopping because you were told that time. Now, understand something very interesting. According to the Islamic religions, the whole of Iran's religious hierarchy has set up soldiers, armies for coming of Mehdi this year. They are defenders of Mehdi. There is a lot of structure has set in Iranian structure, religious, a lot of talks, a lot of banks that this year is the year where the Mehdi comes. Foretold on, as I said, 13th or 15th of Shahrivar, which was a couple of weeks ago, that there will be a massive war. As I explained to you, now you understand. I said to the people who were involved with me that this change, the big change, will come on the 15th of September, according to the books. According to the Jewish calendar, according to the structure of the Old Testaments and everything which is behind it, the end of the 6,000 years is next Tuesday on 23rd of September. And according to the structure of the belief and how they move things, between next week and Yom Kippur, which is the 1st, 2nd of October, a massive war has to take place. And it will be the fight of the Jews, Moses' disciples, over the rest of the religions and humanity. And then from this will rise the ashes of what we call King David, or what we call Moses and the rest of it. Now understand the significance of calendars. When I told you, go back on the teaching, that the 13th, 14th of Shahrivar, 15th of Shahrivar, last couple of weeks ago, I told you there's going to be a problem. And then I told you why it didn't happen, because it's the process. In the process of the Jewish calendar, and according to the rabbis and the whole caboodle of the Jewish structure and the hierarchy, 95% of the Jews are not aware of what's going on. Those who sit like Vatican popes are knowing and they're planning it. These are the people who play with the dates, and there is no holiday, no Fridays, and whatever on the Jewish calendars that it matches any other religion. On the 15th of September, which was last Monday, as I told the Iranians a couple of weeks ago, is when all the enemies of the Moses get together to rise against it. And they have 7 days and 7 nights to work together. We all know what happened on the 15th of September. All the Muslims around the world gathered in Doha. But you have to understand how they gathered in Doha. They gathered in Doha because it was attacked a few days earlier by the Jewish state. In a way, the Jews knew if they attack Doha, they start that match that on the 15th, the enemies of Moses will get together according to the book, and the Muslims just play the game without knowing what they're doing. But I've told the knowledge seekers here on the teaching, they know what I told them, exactly what's going on. amongst you, because there is a recording of it, because this message has gone to how many of Iran. So they said the attack Doha to kill the Palestinians, but Israelis knew exactly where they're hitting. They were not there or they were there. The leaders of Hamas was irrelevant. It was a match to start the fire. And we saw on the 15th of September, they all got together. With their allies, with their alliance, the Muslims coming together to stand against Israel, the promised word of the Torah is completed. Where they all arise against Jews, and now Netanyahu has to start a war. 7 days and 7 nights falls on 23rd, beginning of the cycle of the 7,000 years. We are in the last days of the 6,000 years of anarchy and everything else. And somebody has to be that the Jews win over the Persians. This is what's in the holy books. And then the peace will come. All of you thought Iran getting attacked, Israelis, and this is all set up by religions which you are not aware of. The kingdom of Moses and King David will complete when the Jews win over Iran. In this war, which is set up from the 15th, which is the Jews have a specific word called Qim, which is called unbelievers, people who don't believe in Moses. In Arabic, they call it kafar, the ones who believe in no God. So, you talk about the calendar. Now the calendar of humanity past 6,000 years. In the next few days comes to the process of the last 7 days. The last day of completion of the cycle of 7 days and 7 nights according to Torah. So, between the 23rd to the 1st and 2nd of October, which is Yom Kippur, the Jewish leaders are forcing the supposed to be the return of King David, which is Netanyahu himself believing in it, is supposed to emerge. In Doha, when the Muslims came together, what do you call? Chinese got it, the Russians are got it, the African nations are in, and the rest of it. So it's the whole of the world against the state of Israel, which is most, and they have to win. We're going to see a murder. I sent a coded message if members of the Universal Council want to release it a few days ago to them. I never send a message to the Universal Council in this way. Preparing the council to be ready for what is to come. In our process, now we see if the fulfillment of the time, the calendar of the man will fit into the image of what is being said. Who knew thousands of years ago that Jews had to win over the Persian Empire? But if you notice Netanyahu, when he says everybody is against us, he hit as President Xi. He says we even hit China yesterday, which means now the whole world is our enemy. Nowhere is safe but if you're in Israel. 4 million people have put the needle in the back of 9 billion people because they believe. Biggest question is, you remember I told you at the time will come the Jews will pay for the American ships to get them out? Would there be in the state of Israel? Or this will be the end of the process. This is a calendar of man on earth for 6,000 years. We are coming into it. We hear, we watch. If nothing happens, the foretold histories of the man of 6,000 years complete and the new peace will start. We will shall see. If not, and if the way Mr. Netanyahu is setting everything up to be, that by Yom Kippur, the Israelis will start a mayhem and they win 4 million and supposed to win over 9 billion, or end up in Moses. Listen to what I said for past months. We've taken the love of God from brother Moses. They shall have no home, let alone the land they took by occupation. This is not just to the followers of Moses. It's the same for the Jews, the same for the Muslims, the same for Christians, the same Buddhists, the same for the whole of humanity. Always said, when in a family, they're all doctors, the children become doctors, everybody there to help, to serve. When you see a mafia, the children become mafias, the rest. You see a murderer, the thieves. And this tribe is the blood of the man who's killed and see glory in killing. And these are his children. And it's time that they have no land and no where to land in, but except within their brain. When President Xi of China in past 24 hours has said, we will not stand any more suffering of Palestinians when Netanyahu threatened the Chinese, that they are our enemy, now they're all in it. We are all in for a massive, massive change. And you have to understand, once the state of Israel goes, United States gone, European community is gone, and 500 years of rampaging, slavery, and everything else comes to them. Now we have to see if the calendar of the man, 6,000 years, in next 14, 15 days, what's being foretold, and the Jewish state, all these rabbis, high rabbis work on it. This is why they wouldn't touch Netanyahu, because he has convinced them that he's the return of King David, the promised one. And he can do whatever, and they don't touch him. Now you understand the secret. Let's see what happens. We saw for the first time the arrow has been thrown by the European community. Any plane carrying Netanyahu over a European state, they have the right to shoot it down. They have the right to capture. This is in past few hours coming out of EU. Now is the word of Christians against the Jews on top. Now you understand. The head of European community cannot follow this level without a home. We are all watchers of the 6,000 years coming. We are coming to a new cycle of peace and prosperity and everything else. And now we have to sit. Is it technology? Or is it the word of the historical time of a murderer becoming King David? We shall win. And now watch which calendar. But the most important thing is, does this calendar affect planet Mars, citizens of another galaxy? No. This is all centered around the greed of the man for the time of the man. As I told you before, now just watch this operation and what might happen in the next 15 days, 20 days, 30 days. And then you understand why. If you kill, you're a murderer. But when a man kills himself, is suicide, nobody to blame. And this is what the children of Moses decided. then there is no excuse. You got to understand the history of this planet and how things go. As I explained to the Iranian religious leaders yesterday, past few days. There's a saying in English, if Muhammad doesn't go to the mountain, we bring the mountain to Muhammad. Do you know where this comes from? Does anybody know where actually this proverb comes from? Muhammad came from plains of Jordan and Palestine. Jews saw his uprising, how he was gathering people and how he was doing things. And if you read in the history of the Islam, they made in Islam a lot of verses that Muhammad took the tribes of Jews and did this to them, took their women and everything else. Muhammad was based in Palestine and he used to travel into Yemen and south in Saudi Arabia, Mecca area, the mountains of the south. If you are a Muslim, and you have to understand how the history of man works, Al-Azhar, the first mosque, the first building which Muhammad prayed and it blesses his name, was in Jerusalem. How come suddenly it moved to Mecca? The whole history of Islam sits in Palestine. All the things, what the Jews did, they literally rewrote the whole history of Islam, moved it to Mecca, away from Palestine. They paid the Muslim leaders to move, and then they rewrote a book according to the geography of the place that it could match to it. People could see, yes, now we believe the mountain was there, so we've been there. The religion was moved after 100 years or so from Palestine into Saudi, what we call Mecca today. Now, you have to understand why. Because they wanted no Jews, no Muslims in Palestine, that they could own it. And now, if you understand, a few years ago, Jews moved the capital from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Why? Because they knew as long as they moved the headquarters, the government into Jerusalem, Arab nations will not touch Al-Azhar. Arab nations will not touch Israel because it's a holy land. And that was a trick that a lot of people missed. It was a religious base. It was that the Jews are 48% of the population of Israel. 52% are Palestinian Muslims at this moment. Now you have to come to understand something. As I said before, the center of the Islam sits in Al-Azhar, in the church, in the mosque, where Muhammad said the first prayer, where he declared everything. And then 100 years later, decades later, they moved it to Saudi. We know this is correct, and nobody understands it why. The only nation which has a proof of this and has never destroyed it is the nation of Aryan, the Iranians who became Muslim, married into Kingdom of Iran with his family of Muhammad. They all built mosques where face to Al-Azhar, the Mecca, the point of prayer. When the Jews moved the Muslims after the death of Muhammad, decades later, to Mecca, which is today, and wrote the whole history of Islam upside down to fit them, in a way, cheated them, then the Muslims moved their Mecca, or what do you call it, direction of prayer to Mecca. Iran is the only nation. In Iran, there are few mosques which are going back to that old time, which have two walls of prayer, as I said before, one to Al-Azhar. And when they moved it to Mecca, they built another side of the mosque facing Mecca. So in one church, in one mosque, you have two prayer points. And this is what the Jews are after, to destroy, that there is no sign of them fooling the whole structure. It's not a place where you pray to, it's what you believe in that you pray to. Now you understand why the state of Israel is after destroying everything in Iran. They want to destroy the last signs that's in their holy book, the last signs of their atrocity of that time against Muslims by moving Jerusalem to Mecca. And now you understand the reason, because this is what King David has to do, the last remnants of what is left of their own mass murders of past. Now let the historian talk in 10 years' time, in 5 years' time, what happened at the end of the 6,000 cycle calendar of the man, which is in the next 7 days. On Tuesday, 23rd, we go into the phase of it, and then it takes 7 days for the new cycle of 7,000 years to start, which is Yom Kippur. And is not Netanyahu who has risen the time of war. It's the religious leaders. And if they can carry it out. And then the whole world from China to Russia. You see how Netanyahu has set everything up. Now you understand, it's not him. He's just a puppet, David. And he's carrying the will of those rabbis sitting in the places in Israel and dictating the time, because then they're gonna win, because it's in Torah. This is the calendar of the man. What is the calendar of the universe in respect to man in a position? Man has to find out when it becomes part of universal community. My message to Universal Council: be ready for what is to come. That what comes will bring a new coming. Any other question?
Thank you, Mr. Kish. We have a hand up, but before we get to Pen Peter and our attendees here, I'd like to address a question from Claudio in the Q&A. It's in Italian and translates as follows. Since I am governed by the ego, which expresses itself only through emotions such as attachment and greed, access to the emotion of transmutation will only occur when I abandon the ego. How can I allow this transition without the ego blocking it?
Oh, you decide. You are the decider. You can't. There is an ego and there is an ego. Some egos are for the benefit of the man, elevates the soul of the man, and some egos are the demise of the man. Man has to recognize it. Man has to recognize his ego. Man has to recognize what is to what. And what do we do everything we do for? And what is the cycle? What is the purpose? And understand all the structure. ego is not always demise. Some egos are for the benefit of man. It actually brings prosperity to man, because ego of wanting to help, ego of being there to celebrate the joy of others. But it comes under the ego to demise and to destroy for me to be the best. And you have to recognize which one is which and how you can change the bad one towards a good one. But you have to understand what is good to you because of your ego can be harm to the others. And then you understand the whole process. Ego is the cornerstone of a lot of things, but needs a man to recognize it and how you use it and what you bring the benefit of, and to what level. And sometimes ego brings arrogance, but sometimes arrogance comes out of confidence and out of knowing. But still you have to understand how much you know to what limit, and when you have to stop with it. And yeah.
I'm reminded of something I've heard years ago, that one wise man said that he was asked, why does it appear that you have such a large ego? And he replied, it takes a big ego to contain a strong soul. Maybe we need the stronger bird cage, if the bird is a big strong bird that can tear apart a weaker cage, let's say.
Are you caging a sparrow, or are you caging an eagle?
Yes, exactly. Okay, thank you for your answer to that. I think we can go. The hand's back up again, but it's a different person. Okay, well, Ping Peter had a question later on the Q&A. Maybe it's the same question. We have Azar with a hand up, so let's address that. Go ahead, Azar.
Good morning, Lee. Good morning, Mr. Cash. Mr. Cash, when we're talking about...
Where are you? Good morning. Are you in Europe or are you in America?
No, I'm in Europe.
Oh, that's why it's good morning too. Okay.
You see, when we talk about...
you see, we call it universal traveler. Azar is the earth traveler. She's always somewhere. No matter of the earth. One day here, one day there. More than 2 weeks in one place for Azar is too hard. It has to be somewhere else.
Whereas Mr. Kesh once said, I am the gypsy of the universe.
Azar is the gypsy of this planet. Come on, Azar.
Okay, so you see, when we, say I live for 64 years and then I...
You gave your age away, Azar.
Oh, yes, I did. So,
you did.
So you see, depending on what I've seen, what I interacted with, what my experiences was, everything I've gone through, I create a construct. So immediately you see someone or you see someone action, depending on that construct, you had a label. Now you break all that construct. The only thing is left for you. You get up in the morning, you go to the bakery, and you say to the girl, I want that. You taste that, so it's wonderful. You walk under the sun, you say, oh, this is amazing. But when people are talking, you cannot hear them. You just see their lips this world because nothing anymore makes sense. The grass is beautiful, the trees are beautiful, people are beautiful walking, but when people talk, you don't hear anything. Then you come to a point to say, what is really the truth here of the world? And I was reading something, and this came, and it says, I'm going to read it to you. It says, even Jesus couldn't tell the truth. So it says, it goes like this. It says, there's a tremendous creative power behind the words of one who always speaks truth. But he must also be in attunement with the pure heart quality of feeling and the soul quality of wisdom to know in any given instance. What is truth? A question that even Jesus refused to answer, knowing that the one who questioned him would not understand. Facts can be hurtful, are not always truth, which brings only blessings. For example, the voicing of negative truth should usually be avoided. A man of broad sympathies does not refer endlessly to a crippled infirmity or to a lawyer's unsavory reputation. Because there is indeed truth in such words, is no excuse in ordinary circumstances for uttering them. Only sadistic person under the egotistic prince, cruel, dishonest speech enjoys shooting arrows into the Achilles heel or point of vulnerability that is present in one form or another in every human being. It is also wrong to tell a man of his faults if he has not sought such criticism. It is despicable to gossip and spread unkind rumors. The voice is a valuable God-given power to be used to soothe, comfort, instruct, and convey wisdom and love. A veritable alchemist that removes taint or magic of its vocalized portion. So here, what do you do in life when nothing makes sense anymore? What's the truth?
Which side of the fence are you sitting?
What did you say?
I said, which side of the fence are you sitting that the truth is what you say?
I have no fence.
Yeah, but no, when you talk what is truth to someone on one side, you can lie to the other. That's why I said he stays silent. There is a history of man's transfer of everything else, wealth, knowledge, or whatever. And what does it bring to be, and what is the truth to be? Who's talking the truth? Put it that way. I used to know very high-ranking intelligence officer, and we were at a dinner table, and he said, "You know something? We never believe the people interrogating the first days what they tell us. I said, what do you mean? He said, the first days, especially those who've been trained, they tell you every lie because they're there. To them, it's the truth and they want us to believe it. They might give you a little bit that you check and is there, but the rest is lies because you gave a little bit which is truth. He said the truth comes at the end days, when there is no strength left to control the physicality. This is the time that what was the truth at the beginning becomes the truth, in real sense of truth at the end. So it depends on which side of the fence you sit and what you consider as truth. What is the music to your ear, as we say?
And does it really matter?
Not really. I don't think so.
Because in interaction of human, do we need the truth? I mean, what we say, what the vocabulary say, the truth doesn't really matter.
It does matter. It does matter, Azajan, because the words affects the man's action and emotion brings a new time. April's Fool is one of the best things to see if the truth matters. How many times you have real played prank on people and they believed it? And was it the truth? But that moment was the truth to them because they believed in it and they reacted to it. Truth is to the eye of beholder, not to the mouth of the speaker usually.
But because you see what happens when I look at, because if I go back to my construct from the base, say in order for me to value myself, to know I have a value to exist, I have to be really good. And what is good? It means I have to really become perfect in every way. Like I be the best student in my class. I be the best of everything in order to be valued. So if that's my construct, that's not the truth. A kid was grown up with that construct. And when I look at everyone in this planet, they had a construct which is not the truth from the beginning, because the parents, the environment, the teacher converted who they were as a child, which was the image of God, because each of us is the image of God, and each of us, but God has unlimited images. But we created the image of God that everybody has supposed to be like each other. I mean, I look at, for example, I look at Iranian society. I see how all women all look alike. They go do their nose, their chin, their this and that to become all in one.
That's fashion.
But it's still that's the construct. That's the belief system.
No, there's a big difference between the fashion and the stupidity. It's like when you go to Istanbul. Have you been to Istanbul recently, past few years?
No.
God knows, I call it half of the airport are with the white straps of bandage behind their head, and they're all walking, going back to Italy.
What do they do?
They, Italian men, the hair is their vanity, and they all get bald early because they're too busy with other things, drinking too much wine, as they say. And they go to Turkey. They take the hair from the back bottom layer and put it on the top, and where they took all the hair out, bleach. So they put a plaster, they got a bandage around their head. It's all half of the airport is it was like being in the war zone, bandaged up. It's like when I went to Iran, half of the women had a bat on their nose. I said, how society's got so bad? Why do they all been hitting their nose or all these nose damages? No, darling, my cousin told me these are all nose jobs. They go and operate, or even they can't afford operating, they just put a patch on to say they had the operation.
Even, Mr. Cash, even the men do it now. In Iran, even the boys are doing it.
Everything is possible. Vanity is nothing to do with the truth and what other people believe in. Now this has become very fashionable. Fashion is different than the truth and what the things stand. But the truth is what we as a receiver believe in and act upon, and how it moves our soul, and a new time starts. You cannot start a new time. This is why I always say, we teach. It's you who decide the time of the change. We just teach. We are teachers. It's you who decide when to implement it and how to implement it and what changes it brings to you, that it brings satisfaction to the soul of the man. Nothing else. Never said tomorrow we're all going to do this. You follow me, it has to be that day. No. It's when you mature, you do. And it all depends on you. It could be for years you heard something, you don't do anything about it. But somebody clicks and you stick to it and you change your life with it. And it just takes a factor of a fraction of a millisecond to do so. You've fallen in love. Have you ever fallen in love with a first look? Sweeps
Yeah.
off your leg? Yeah. Sweeps off your feet. You don't know, you don't want to eat, you don't want to be anywhere. Day and night, the time clock changes, a new time comes in. That's the essence of truth. When it touches the soul of the man. When man changes because of it. Could be enlightened, falling in love with the creator, to the man, to a woman, and the rest of it. And it changes your life. And that's why they say the creator is always in love, he's a giver. Because every essence has a new meaning. So you decide what is the truth, to what to come to you. You know, when you give up everything to make sure that what you love, what you want to give to, and the creators fall in love with the creation, not just with the man. And one of the naughty ones in that lot, as we meet her, which has brought her to the point of understanding. You need one woman to change. Not a bunch of, it's not Islamic world to have a bunch to change.
Thank you, Mr. Kash.
You're welcome. Rick, we have a problem with Unit 5 and Unit 3. Was the microphone not there? It's okay. It's getting sorted out in the background, by the way. We are doing a lot of things with you, a lot, very, very powerful. And I wonder how you lot will feel, how things changes for you. We're keeping a constant pressure on the field strength. I want to share with you something very interesting. And I have to be able to maybe it's too early for the man to share. You got to understand the power of intention, the power of the will, the power of justification in action. And how that creates a new time. Every time man makes a decision on emotion, it's a new time. The half time of the past is gone. A new lifetime starts, a new cycle of time starts. And decision based on emotion brings a new time, which with it usually brings maturity in long term, enlightenment in understanding. But man has to recognize that. And then man achieves what he always planned for. Listen to the past 2 minutes 100 times, and if you understand it, you have found your path in your life. If not, it's just sentences. We decide, we change, we make move, and others move and intention does not affect our position. It's us who change, brings that change. You're in love, stick to what you love. And nourish the love through the true emotion. Don't get punished by being loved. And we do that to ourselves. We know half of the story, but we ignore the truth of the story. Because it's better for us not to do. And this is the cornerstone of a lot of actions we take. And every action we take, a new time starts. Collection of new times makes a time which decides half-life of the time of the man. And if man understands this, man has matured to move on into the next level of understanding. It's you who has to decide, nobody else. Nobody can tell you what to do. I made man in the image of myself, never been a slave. So it's for the man. And the other.
Thank you. We had a question from Guillaume in the Q&A. Could you please explain what is the horizontal and vertical physicality as mentioned in the intro with Dean? So I don't know if I can get that. I could get that back up, I suppose. But I was wondering if you had any diagram you would like to show for today.
No, it's just that it's there, but I think the man is not ready for it. Yes. Our guy in the back has picked it up. That light, which is the light of the Creator, is sits in one of the images, matching right across. I think man is not ready for it. I screenshotted it, but it's better not to be.
Okay. So do we pass on that for now?
I'll pass on that one.
Okay. Next question, I'm not quite clear. I'll try to say it and see if it makes sense to you. It's from Theodora. Can the gift of totality be touched by our emotion? Is life a tragedy or comedy? Is the emotion of freedom embracing the love for everything? And is the gift, is that the gift waiting us?
A bit of all. I've said this before, if you understand the joke of it. our life, we think is in our hand, but it's actually decided by others and other positions. The life of a man is like a man on the seat of a hairdresser. The head is yours, you sit on the chair, but you have no say when that scissors falls and the guy decides. And you have no say in which hair is going to be cut where and how it's going to look. And that's how life is. We think we have control. Is our head connected to us? Is our hair? What is in the hand of the mercy of scissors? A man, his emotions. And if he had a fight with his wife in the morning or not, you're going to walk out with the style you're happy with, but you have no choice because it's cut it for you. And this is literally the story of the man life. Soul is ours. We carry it with this body, but the others affected. If you, it's a funny way to put it, but it's the only way I usually put to children. You take every hair on your body, on your head, and that hair on the other end is connected to another soul. Usually that's what it is. And even you lost your hair, you're bald, the roots of it there where it was still connects to where it was connected before. In a way, we put iron dust on the paper and we shake a magnet on things, we see the fields floating. The hair of the man is the same. So every hair is connected somewhere, and everyone has an emotional model. Collective outcome of all their emotion is where you are. That's the position of your magnet. It's your soul. Then you understand how complicated the life is, and how many places, how many things decide the destiny of the man to be in a place, position, and time. And it's you've got to remember what was, where it was, and how it was, and how it felt, and does it feel now what it felt, and is it right, or am I sacrificing mine for the sake of the past? Is it respect, or does not matter what? Just because I had a good memory with a car, do I still have to drive that car because it's lost its brake and it can kill me with it? Or it's time to change, to move on, but I still carry the memory. And this is part of the work. And we have to understand this. Once we have it do that, we find changes in life, because we create a new time. Any other question?
Well, we had a question in both YouTube and our Q&A here from Peng Peter, who had a hand up earlier. The question is, it says, recently some scientists in Japan managed to use CRISPR gene editing technology to eliminate Down syndrome. It's an exciting scientific breakthrough. What does Mr. Kesh think about it? Pardon me, sorry?
I have not heard of this, I don't know. But if it is, it's a fantastic move. We've done a lot of research on this. We've done a lot of work on Down syndrome. Limited success. You have to understand the reason behind it. It has to be handled in the womb of the mother. I have a meeting actually going on with genetic scientists, in the next couple of days. And there's a big discussion in how we can affect the environment to change the gene. Most probably there'll be research on it very soon into understanding the change. It's very interesting. Very interesting how things take shape. If we change the environment, would it create that position of Down syndrome? You have to understand every DNA is a plasma of the amino acid structure. So with the knowledge we have, we can touch that plasma. If they have.
I was going to mention, I see there is a science headline here. Maybe I can just show it briefly about that specific thing. Just bear with me a minute here while I try and get it. There we go. So the title is CRISPR Snips Away Extra Chromosomes, Offering New Hope for Down Syndrome Treatment. And CRISPR would be that gene editing program that scientists and researchers use so much now to do detailed changes on that level.
There's a lot of things, if we go in the dynamic of the genes, by changing the environment, we can change the genes, that's for sure. It's just understanding.
Done, like you were saying, in the womb, would that be possible to do in the womb?
Yes, 100%.
And possible once the child is born as well, then through?
There is a lot. I think at the moment we recognize or we discover if a child is Down syndrome too much down the line. The way to do it in the future, hopefully, I see a way to it. We hope we'll be part of a research to actually do this. At the moment, let's say, for you not to get measles, you have a vaccination of it. That there is enough energy of it that the body doesn't react to it when it comes and the rest of it. Once the knowledge of man reaches a point that we understand the total energy of a correct energy without any defects of an egg and a sperm, we can pass the eggs and the sperms through what you call an environment that till that sorry about that. That every egg and the sperm has to go through this process, that they all reach that field strength. That at that point there is no misalignment of what they call genes. That, let's say, all the eggs have to reach energy of, let's say, 10 Tesla. And it cannot be 9.9 because one of the genes is in the wrong position. We give it enough field that it becomes, and then that egg or that sperm is ready for the next step. This is not a dream. This is, at the moment, we've done a lot of work on this, and it's feasibly possible. But you have to understand the system of what do you call it, ethics and ethical committees, which half of these will are paid to block new technologies, new knowledge, is part of the problem in this process. But I see maybe decades away with understanding the plasma technology, but our plasma technology is not complete itself to carry the whole package of the spectrum of the fields that when you put an egg in it, it goes to perfection. And then you can put an egg and sperm in a way that it becomes what is perfect. Does that perfection will stay perfect for the rest of his life? No, because there's a factor of emotion which comes into it. Then whatever you create as a perfect, now emotion changes it. And it's like, as I said, when you fall in love, if you remember the first time or you ever fell in love with the first sight, it changes your life. It's the same thing. Has to be the right strength, correct? But what does falling in love will do with you? You live all your education, you live your life. Whatever you work for, it doesn't matter anymore because now you're dangled at the end of the carrot. And you change all, and then in the future, long run, it changes everything in your life because you made a move, you started a new time. It's the same. We create a perfect egg, we create a perfect sperm on the match to the point of birth. After the point of birth, we have no control because the emotion comes in. Child abuse, mother abuse, and everything else. We can't change the mother because mother abuses. We're going to put the child in the microwave every day and balance it. There's certain amount can be done, but in general, genetically we can control. The knowledge is there, but then it comes the emotion. How much the mother suffers during the pregnancy, abusive father, abusive environment, lack of finances, and a lot of things which cannot be taken because it could take it and the rest of it. Then it doesn't matter what perfect egg and sperm you put together. The new emotion creates new condition. There's a lot of things, a lot of factors in these things, even at this moment with where the science sits. But perfect egg can be produced, but the environment changes. Watch the children which are born and watch the skin of the children. After 2 years. Rashes, skin damage, nothing to do with the child's egg or a sperm. It's the environment, emotion. But again, proximity of the birth to the sign tells you the state of the mother during the pregnancy. What emotion hit where. Because the skin of that child is from the skin of the mother. It comes from the emotion and nervous system of the mother's energies. Any other question?
We had a question in the webinar chat from Dolores, who had a question about the pain pad. It says, several years ago, I purchased the pain pad or health belt from the Keshe Foundation. The pain pad emits plasma fields that penetrate up to 3 centimeters beneath the skin, helping restore balance to the body. If I wrap this pain pad around a bottle of drinking water, will it still receive the fields? Can I then drink the water charged with the pain pad?
Yes. But make sure you have, if you made any cancers, you have some amino acid that it matches up to yours, to the body. It's very important. One of the ways that you can match and saves a lot of problem in the future, and you knowledge seekers don't understand, this baffles me a lot. You can use your own body to produce cancers which matches your body. And if you understand how to do it, you don't take your blood. A lot of people do their blood made the cancer of their own blood. Ding, ding is wrong. You have to understand what you need it for, what it's about, and then make a cancer with that of your own. And then use this as a tool, as a way of connection between the world of matter and the life of man's soul. And then you see this is different. This is what the difference is when you use technologies and you understand how to use it. And how you can bring it and what's the will behind it. It all matters if you know how to connect your emotion with the water, what you want from that water. So just to see, I drink something, I put a belt around it. What's the expectation? What do you want to reach? Where do you want to reach? What's the purpose? Is it for a pain in the kidney, or is it the cancer you're looking for? Then you have to set up the water according to that. A lot of people tell me, oh, Mr. Kesh, you know everything. Why do you let this happen to you? Because I know I'll interfere and things can change and I'm not allowed to. When it's needed, I do, but till it's not needed, it's something else on the shelf. Try to understand the knowledge. Do not try to copy them. 99.9% of you are photocopying machines. Why do you want that water? What does it do to you? What's the purpose? It took me years of research to build the path. Years of research. Tested on so many cases to find the best way to do what. But that was a knowledge. Now it's in the hand of people, they don't even know how to cut. What you want that water for? My wishes make a man. Any other question? I will call it a day.
Mr. Cash, can I please ask one more question?
Yeah.
Okay, in the past you said before you have a children, pray for them. Why do you say that?
Because you pray for yourself. You put your own emotion, your own energies the right way. That child is born out of that energy. It doesn't come from there. When you pray, you concentrate to do good things, to do it the right. Then you create the right energy for the egg or a sperm from you has the right composition of emotion. In a way, you do it for yourself, but you have to understand why. There's a tradition in the universe man has not ever learned. The one who once asked twice. The one who has asked twice has to ask once. First question gives you the motion of thoughts. Second time asking brings you the conformity of, have you understood? And the third time, from the opposite side question, it brings you, do you know what you asked? And if both agree, you'll have perfect life. Because we're both in it on equal measure. And if you do that, you understand that, then no relationship ever goes wrong.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, how about a quick question from Brett, who asked, can this, being this, I think is referring to the unit we see on the screen here, can this be used as a voting system?
No. These are especially locked up to our system. We use it that way. Do not use it as a computer. Do not do anything with it. You interfere, you'll be zip-zapping it. Please make sure that stays as it is and purpose for what it is. We still need a lot of these to be paid for to start going out to get to what we need to start our process.
Okay, good. And one last question that from Stefania in the chat here to clarify. You mentioned about making our own GANs. I took it to mean internally. She's asking, to make our own GANs, do we have to use our own saliva or urine, or we can use our intentions and thoughts to make our GANs?
You have a guess. I think I gave you the answer 2 minutes ago. You have a guess. Man is made of 3 levels of creation. And man has to satisfy all 3 to live a perfect life. Earth, wind, and fire. Shall we call it a day?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Cash.
Thank you very much for being here today. Wish you a very good 7,000 years beginning. Those of you who understand what it means. And God help those who don't understand. Sometimes ignorance is a blessing. So we are blessed with blessing. Thank you very much. And please, we still need huge number of these units to go out and to be done, and it's there to help others as much as it brings in the process of bringing the world peace, independence of the currencies and all the games they play with each other. And the way we have structured it, hopefully, in a short-term income, no child will go hungry, and no one will be poor. Finding a poor man will be very difficult when they receive something. A good friend of mine said he used to be a farmer in Northwich, in north of England. He said, how do you make a millionaire out of a farmer? He said, you start with $1 billion and they lose so much when they become millionaires. So it's this essence of the man we take from ourselves. Thank you very much. And see you next time.
All right, very. Thank you, Mr. Cash.
I wish our all leaders do not do what others are trying to do with us. Thank you very much. And see you next time.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. Okay, that brings to a close our 608th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, September 18th, 2025. I'm reminded in the chat that in the YouTube chat actually, that the numbers for September, that is 09 and 18 and 2025, add up to 999. So that's an interesting number for today. Thank you, everybody, for attending today's workshop, our next public teaching workshop. Let me just get up the calendar. The days are going by quickly. It'll be Tuesday, September 23rd, for the One Planet, One Nation, One Race for Justice and World Peace, with members and support members of the Universal Council who will be presenting that program. And that starts at the 4 p.m. Central European Time, again on Tuesday, the 23rd. And speaking of the Universal Council, we have one last thing to share here from the Universal Council, which is an announcement that I'll read. The Universal Council invites the Kesh family and the Universal family in unifying at the soul level every time and every day at 9 p.m. Central European Summer Time to elevate the soul of the leaders to achieve the permanent and lasting peace. Thank you to Lissy for providing that. And I believe that's all for now. Thank you again, everyone, for attending and for the questions. Any leftover questions, please keep them until next week, where we can address them. And bye for now. Hello, everyone.
No dobrze, moi drodzy, to by było na dzisiaj. Myślę, że dosyć ciekawy warsztat z dość ciekawym podejściem. Pewnie każdy gdzieś tam sobie to rozkmini na swój własny sposób. No i co, moi drodzy, dziękuję Wam za dzisiaj, 21 września 2025. Trzymajcie się wszyscy cieplutko i do zobaczenia na przestrzeni. Pa.